Welcome, Growth Tribe, fellow marketers, entrepreneurs, and anyone else out there that's ever tried to build a website. Today, we're going to dive into WordPress abilities, why we decided to use WordPress at our company. And I'm just going to show you some kind of beginner basics. There's a lot of great developers out there. It's its own profession, right? But WordPress was really built for the entrepreneur, the small business owner, the marketer that doesn't having that coding background. And it's pretty amazing to see how far WordPress has come since computer science, really created the creation of websites and how hard that was and how easy it is now. So I'm going to kind of jump in. So this is our website, Global Social Media Marketing. This is our homepage, right? One thing I want to show you, once you've logged into WordPress, you'll log in through that just by going to the domain name or URL link that you have for your website and then typing in WP admin. That's all you need to type in to kind of log in. Obviously, I'm already logged in, so it's not going to bring me to that to fill in, but that's how you would log in. So it'll ask for your username and your password. Once you log in, it will bring you to this page. This page is the dashboard page. So this is kind of the back end, right? So there's a difference. This is the back end of how we're going to develop and build the website. And then if we look kind of at our actual website, which the public and the internet sees, this would kind of be the front end, right? So front end is showing kind of how it looks to public, and then private would, and then the back end would be more of the private side of it, where we're going to see the hard coding. We're going to see all the functionalities of building out the website. So I like to have both of those open just to kind of see as I build things how it looks and going. And you can look in those features in this too, but it's just a good way to kind of see how you're changing things as you're building it out. So with that being said, a lot of the things here on the left is where you're going to be spending your time. So we've got different plugins here that we've kind of added. A plugin is something that you would use from a developer, right, as a software. That is the main benefit from my perspective as a marketer that did not go to school for coding or computer science. I taught myself very elementary beginner HTML, CSS coding. Any good developer that's built a website would have that in their coding ability. They probably would also have PHP and maybe some other ones such as like JavaScript, and obviously they could have more, but within kind of building a website, right? Those are the main languages that I've seen with my 8 years of experience. I'm not a computer science person, so if a developer sees this video, just understand this is coming from a marketer. My beginner to intermediate knowledge, but how was I able to build our website after 8 years was WordPress and being able to use these plugins. So the plugins are actually the softwares that you add into your existing WordPress website that allows you to have those functionalities to do things, right? An example of a plugin would be something like a contact form. So I think on our back end, at some point, yeah, here you go, WordPress Forms Lite, right? That's a contact form plugin that allows us on our website, if we go to contact, we have this plugin installed, and it already does the hard work for us. We didn't have to do any hard development or no code to do this. We just install the plugin, put it on the page, and then there we go. We've got a nice form. We can collect leads, and we could submit. That's that software functionality that used to be, you had to have hard coding to kind of build that out. So there's tons of different plugins, right? You can see some of the ones that we have, just to kind of give you, again, some beginner ones on how our website is set up. I don't know how you pronounce it, Akismat or anti-spam. One thing that you run into a lot with websites is you get very spammy. So this is like kind of preventing the spam of anyone trying to get on our website or any hackers or anything like that. Broke link checker would be if we had broken links, like maybe we've attributed to another website or something like that. Duplicate post, that helps us duplicate things like our posts and pages. Google, obviously I'm trying to integrate like analytics so that we can, have that built in our WordPress. So it kind of just goes on and on with the ability of different types of plugins. I'm not going to go over all of these, but there's a bunch of them out there. And obviously you can see some of these need to to be updated, right? That's an important thing as you continue with website trends and building things out, is updating them. So you can update them. There's also a bulk action feature where you can activate them, deactivate them, or update them. So once you download a plugin to have as a functionality on your website, you need to activate them. And then from there, you need to update them. That's really like kind of 101 once you get a new plugin. Another thing you would see also is with your WordPress existing theme or what it's built, you can update that, right? So I've got all these messages right now of things that we need to update with our website. That's going to help with speed. It's going to help with functionality. And those are things that we'll hopefully be developing here in quarter two for our company as we try to build out our website better. And you can search for these things, right? That's a really other nice feature of WordPress is they allow you to search for things. So as far as plugins are concerned, we can see the ones that we have installed. There's also a feature to add the new ones. So we could kind of come in here and we could go and search WordPress for all of the different types of plugins that are out there, right? They'll recommend the most featured ones. One thing I want to note that I heard a lot about at the end of last year was Gutenberg. This is really your ability to have like a page builder, a page editor. I'm not going to go into that a lot in this video. There's a ton of content that's coming out about that, and that was a really revolutionary thing for WordPress, where I could see Gutenberg becoming the standard for page building with WordPress in the future. And really the goal of it was, I don't have to read this, but the goal of it was to create templates, right? To standardize documents, standardize, contact forms, whatever the design of the page is, so that it's a drag and drop. You would see a lot of that in website design going on right now, of like, there's Squarespace, and then there's Wix, and then there's WordPress, and then there's everybody else. Guess what, guys? 60% of the websites in the world today, I just looked this stat up today in April, whatever it is, 2019, 60% of them are built on WordPress. So from a business perspective, when you look at that, it's like, number one, they have the largest market share. Number two, there's going to be more talent that is going to build out WordPress, right? Most developers are going to have that experience. And then think about the number of plugins, right? I mean, I didn't go and search any, but there are so many plugins that have been developed. And that's really how developers have found a way now as a different source of income, right? Not only are they able to build websites now as professionals from a coding perspective, but now they can develop that code into a plugin that they can sell to WordPress, and they can update it, right? You can see how often a plugin has been updated. You can see what it's compatible with. You can see the reviews for that plugin. It's really an amazing thing that WordPress has separated themselves from everyone else, is this ability to have this community of developers that have created these customizations for WordPress, to where somebody like me or somebody like a small business owner that has no development background can come in, create it, use a theme, put some plugins, and make an awesome website and not have any development experience. So that's the plugin side of it. I think that's pretty good for beginner 101. Kind of wanted to go over some of like the layout of our website and the different things like that. So we'll start with posts. Posts are blog posts, right? There was the phenomenon of blogging and how people were writing stories, and then that kind of turned into a content machine. For our website today, we have close to 400 blog articles that I've written personally during my time in my marketing career for the last 8 years, all of my travels, different industries, being at events. And, one thing that we're going to be hopefully doing later this year is we're going to have a content editor in place to edit those blog articles so that they are optimized. They're according to the standards that we want to have as a credible business, and also from maybe a grammar or journalism perspective of kind of, being more like a news source for education and things in that manner. So with that being said, blogging is its own profession. There are, millions of great bloggers out there, and that's really how I started our website. On a side note, not to tell off too much, but when I graduated UGA, I went to a personal branding event, and they told me, as I was graduating, we came out of the worst depression since 1969, Great Depression for the job market at our age in that generation. And they just told me that personal branding was going to set me apart in marketing. So I built my website in 2011 on WordPress and did it as BK Strategic was the original name. It was like me. And then eventually that evolved into what our website is today, which is Global Social Media Marketing. And it's funny just that like I started in WordPress in 2010, 2011. Now we're in 2019, have 60% of the market share. And you see a lot of bloggers just using this now. So kind of going into like, the blogging side of it, we can actually see all of our posts that we've made, right? So, here's our 400 plus. We can see the ones that have been published. We can schedule our blog posts if we have from an editorial perspective, right? You have someone in place where you're coming out with a weekly blog post. That's a good way for your audience to have expectations. Hey, every Tuesday, Global Social Media Marketing is coming out with a new blog article that we can expect. Drafts are similar to like an email, right? If you draft an email and you don't send it, essentially drafting what you're going to write and then saving it for another time, right? You can see that we have some that we haven't published. Maybe we weren't ready to publish them from a grammar perspective. Maybe we needed to do more research. Maybe we need to do some linking and adding of images and media in there. So that's really kind of from an editorial perspective, right? You don't need to use a Word document. We don't need to send each other emails back and forth. We can go into WordPress in real time, edit it, save it, update it, and then somebody else can access that. One thing that I didn't mention early on, what is WordPress? WordPress is a content management system. That's really just a fancy word for the ability to manage all of this content. So that's why, WordPress is so great, because we can manage all this content, without having the development background to kind of write specialized code. Private would be it's not, available for people to see publicly. Trash is posts that we've thrown away. Maybe they weren't good, or we didn't like the idea or something like that. And Cornerstone content is actually promoting, some of your best content. So within the blog articles, this is kind of like the lay of the land of like a basic view based upon the theme that we have. And you can see how it's got these different columns, right, vertically here. Title is the title of the blog post. Author, obviously, is the person that wrote the article. Categories would be if you're trying to categorize, think about it from like a book, okay? Table of contents. When you read a book, that's going to tell you in a table of contents, these are the different categories within the book. Tags would be kind of more like chapters, or more of like within that category, like what are the more specific things, right? So like in this example, we were giving it a category of like Spanish marketing. We could have probably titled this a little bit better. And they were giving it tags within Spanish marketing of like, for people who don't speak Spanish out there, United States is Los Estados Unidos, Negocios Internacionales is international business. So we went and said that our kind of main category is Spanish marketing within these specific things. And we can kind of see, things that get uncategorized, mean they haven't been put into something. And here's another example, Facebook marketing. And we don't have all these tags set into place. So this is something for a website like ours that has so much content that this takes time to go back and edit and add these things. We have 400 articles. That being said, maybe that's why you draft things right before you do something like us, and you're going and you're publishing all these things. So I'm not going to go through kind of any more of this section, except for to just kind of close with the note that you should try to categorize things, because it helps Google identify easier ways to direct search. And then think about it from a consumer perspective. If you're on a website and the functionality of the UI allows you to select different categories of articles that you want to read, it makes it easier for the user. The tags are really helping with search, right? That's telling Google, hey, these are the keywords within these categories that you should be ranking us in for the search engine, so that we can help Google again identify kind of our framework and help our website get found more. Stats would be, obviously if we had integrated with something as analytics or something like that. We have this plugin right now called Lingo Tech. which allows us, Polylang, which allows us to have a multilingual content management system, meaning that we can put our website right in different languages. Right now, our website's in English. I've written personally, I think about 15 to 20 blog articles in Spanish. And ideally, in the future for our company, we would just translate the entire website into Spanish because there's really not that many multilingual websites out there in comparison with like the sheer population, right? I mean, I just did my first multilingual website last year. I spent, um, probably hundreds, if not 1,000 hours on building a law firm, a multilingual English and Spanish website. And that was my first time in WordPress of 9 years, guys. So with that being said, you have to have translators, you have to have language people, but there are a lot of nice plugins now for developers where they'll do that direct translation. Being the linguistic person that I am, I'd rather have a translator in-house or outsource that, because from colloquial perspective and like the direct, like kind of like Google Translate, right? That's all going back to like artificial intelligence and machine learning, and that stuff still just isn't quite there yet. It's on the way, but from a language perspective, if you could have a translator, that'd be great. But you can use these plugins as that functionality so that as your content is developed, you can kind of make sure that it's best optimized. And that would be everything from changing, at the end of the URL link, like ES for Spanish, FR for French, whatever that language is, so that that website from an SEO perspective is what we call now, it's been internationalized, or internationalization from an SEO perspective, meaning that this website is almost like another duplicate of the original website that you created, but in a different language. Date, that's telling us, when's the date of the publication, scheduled, something like that. Analytics, we can see these different things in here. Over here is kind of something that was a really big thing for me to discover in my marketing career about 2 years ago, was SEO Yoast. And that's one of the plugins, SEO Yoast. So you guys understand how that kind of looks. Let's just kind of click into a blog article. Let's go back to the original blog article I ever wrote. I think it was personal branding creates marketing success, or something like that. Personal branding and blogging. So here's this website I wrote. This is the first blog post I ever wrote for my website, when I was telling you guys about that story. So this is the back end, right? So now we're seeing with our design, right, we've got a nice little page builder here where we're allowed to kind of use blocks and kind of edit the document on the right-hand side. This is going to look different for most WordPress themes, depending upon what your page builder is, what plugins you've got, and also the theme, right? So we can go over our theme and I can show you the themes that you can choose here in a second, but I really just want to focus on blog articles for a second here. So right here is kind of our title. Then we're adding in images. On our website, it's pretty simple. Within this little block, we can just come up here and we're going to look for that media icon. It's this little camera here. We can go in and we can add any type of media, right? We could add pictures, we could add a GIF, we could add a video, whatever you want to do, we can just add it here. The best option from my perspective is to upload a file. One quick note on that, in my marketing experience, that's been something that you really need to be careful about, which is copyright infringement with images. My recommendations are for you to buy a library of photos, right? At Global Social Media Marketing, we're paying, I think, almost $30, $29.99 for depositphotos.com or depositphoto.com. Go check them out. They're pretty cost effective. A lot of professional websites out there, they use Shutterstock because they're very well known and you've got a lot of photographers in there. And then there's obviously other free ones out there. Pixels is a good free one, but just make sure that you don't take something off of Google. Don't go to somebody else's website and take their image, because at that point it's stealing an image. And so my advice to anyone that's building a website is either buy your images or create your own. I think that's the best practice, because if you create your own images or you buy those images, then you're never going to have any legal issues. Where if you don't do either of those two and you do something else, there could be legal repercussions, and you're just, creating potential problems that you could prevent by just doing what I told you, which is buying images or creating your own. So uploading those files here would just be as easy as selecting a file, choosing that image. This is me at MHYP today. Shout out to those guys. An amazing event at the luncheon. And I could select it and I can open it up. And from there, it would be loaded into our library, right? And I can add that to our post. I can insert that into our post. And one thing I just want to kind of briefly go over is describing the images. So another thing that's not quite there yet from an AI or machine learning thing on Google is the fact that when you put an image on the internet, you put it on a website, right? You have to tell the search engine that this is what this image is, right? So the big transformation of websites as we go in to the later years of the 2000s will be eventually Google would be able to identify, for example, Rachel, she's one of our interns, and they would be able to identify that. But right now, because their photo recognition is not at that technology capability to the full extent yet, what we're doing is we're describing that. So that's all this stuff here on the right? We're giving it a URL of where that image is found. We're giving it a title. We might give it a caption if we want to kind of add a little bit of text to the bottom. I normally don't do that. Alt text is what we are telling Google. If you were searching for Rachel, then it would generate that. If we went into Google Images, right, we would see that was what the alt text was. So if we clicked on a couple of these, right, Courtney, she's one of our other interns right there, we can see we described it exactly as Courtney French, so that when you look at the back end of the website, if you're going to look at the hard coding, it's telling Google, hey, Google, here's the media image, and here's the text that describes that image so that you can find it in Google Images or in search engine results. If we didn't have the alt text, then Google wouldn't be able to identify that this is Courtney, because their AI just isn't there yet with photo recognition. So that's a really important thing from an SEO perspective, is you want to make sure that you give an alt text that describes what that image is, so that image can be found in a search engine. You can add some extra things such as description, language. You can align your images, right? Like if we were in a Word document, you put in the middle, the left, the right. You could link it to something else. And then you can change the size of it, thumbnail, medium, full size. One thing to note here, and this is an issue that we're having with our website because of the 8 years of development that I've put into it, and images and all the content, is that images and media can be big, right? They can be big files. We have things like, AI files or vector files, or we've got a long video, something like that. What that does is it obviously slows down your website. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to compress your media. And I'm not going to go into that today, but you need to figure a way in which you can put media on your website in a way that makes it a smaller file so that your website runs faster. That's just kind of an elementary foundation. I'm not going to go into that. It's a whole nother topic. With that being said, this is kind of like 101 if we were going to upload an image. I showed you our media library so we can see all of our images if we ever want to use any of these again, right? Once we upload them, they're in our library forever. And then WordPress gives us a stock library image too, where they've already got things that they're giving away for free, and we can use that. They've got some other features here with galleries and a featured image. I'm not going to go over all that too either. I'm trying to make this a beginner video, but just to understand for a featured image, what that does is it gives that blog article, if you look down here, right, it's going to show this image before you click into the article. And I could show that to you later, but that's really nice from like a reading perspective. Think about it like a newspaper, right? When you read a newspaper, or I guess you don't read newspapers anymore, but you read a newspaper, there's a big picture right before the article. That's kind of what a featured image is for a blog article. So that just kind of gives that, to the reader, hey, if I didn't read this article, but I looked at this picture, I might know what this article is about, right? So from this example, there's a picture of me underneath the arch at the University of Georgia when I was graduating, and this is about personal branding and blogging for marketing success. So this image, in a way, it might not be fully understood if you just saw the image, but if you read the article and you saw the image, you would say, oh, this image was a featured image because it's identifying Benjamin's personal brand at that time when he went to this conference. So another thing to note within this text, right, is that we can edit this text. So I can just come in here, and this is very much so like a Microsoft Word. I guess I should be referring to Google Docs because we love Google. So Google Docs, any kind of document that you used to use that most people know, everyone's was taught in K-12 school and learned and grew up with. You see these blue kind of links that I have within that. That's what we call link building, right? So there are two main concepts on why websites rank high in search results. There's hundreds different reasons why Google ranks something. Their algorithm changes every year. That's why, for me, websites are a never-ending project. The way in which search engines work are constantly changing their algorithms, updates. So there's many factors, but the two main factors that affect the SEO of a website are the amount of content, which, in our case, we've created 400 blog articles. So that's a lot more than the average website. And then link building, meaning how many links link to your website and how many other, links are you linking out to? So the concept there is, in this example, I'm linking to gradyuga.edu, which is the advertising arm of the University of Georgia, right, where advertising majors are, because I had this this event at Grady. So I'm saying, as I was gazing from the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication, and so that's what we call an outbound link. I'm giving the user on the website a more information, and I'm linking to a highly credible website. So when we talk about within the algorithm of link building, the best websites that are very credible websites are ones that have that kind of .edu, .org, and .gov. And the reasons for that is because those are organizations or educational institutions that are credible. People are going there to learn. You might have people that have their PhD or master's. So those are just the quality of those websites. And the content that those are providing are the best types of websites to try to outbound link. Now, in return, we would also love to have those people inbound linking to us. In our case, with globalsocialmediamarketing.com, we would love also if we had any other marketing companies linked to us, right? So one thing that we're building out this year is we're going to start to build out affiliate marketing. And that's something I don't want to go into today either, because it's a whole nother topic. But at a high level, that concept is the ability to sell other products or services through another channel. And that channel, in our case, could be a website. So we could be linking out in our 400 blog articles today to other types of products or services that we could sell on our website. And we do that through affiliate marketing link building, where, let's say, for example, one of our recent partnerships that we just secured this year is with Supermetrics. And Supermetrics is going to be selling their Google Chrome extension through our company website now. That's how that's going to work. And we'll make a commission structure based on how many sales we can make. And, you see in affiliate marketing, you want people that have the same audience, right? So Supermetrics is a marketing technology, and we're a marketing company. So it makes sense for them to sell their marketing technology products through a marketing company. We won't go any more further into that. So, we can see the different links that we've got. I showed you media. We can kind of stylize things, right? We can italicize them. We can bold them. We can do numbered lists, bulleted lists. This is all stuff that you guys have probably seen. This is the linking button on our website. So if we wanted to link to something, how it works on our website, just to show you, we would highlight it. And this is not the case for every theme or website, but on our case, you would highlight it, you would select it, then you would come down, and now it's going to give you that option, and then we can type in our website, and then hit, at the end, apply. One thing to note real quickly, once you're editing anything on the website, right? Let's say, and I know this update fail is showing me right now, but let's disregard that. We want to save it, right? You can see on our website it's updating automatically, which is nice. But if I'm making a lot of changes to a page, and then I want to just click on update, right? I've made some changes. I want to save that. And as soon as I update that, it will save all those changes, and it will even give me this little feature that gives me view post, which I had kind of mentioned to you guys of, now I can see how the blog article looks to the public, right? So if we go back, gotta love all these flying things in on my computer. If we go back, you can see maybe some other things that we've added, right? We added a slideshow where images are kind of going in like a PowerPoint or a Google Slides. This is a quote, right? This is standing out. You can see the kind of indentation. If we looked at the website, you could see how that looks. And then, when I first started writing this article, I used to always have like a nice little final thought. This thing at the bottom right here is our call to action, right? We just used an image that we, were able to find for free that we could use. And I'd like to build this out into something animated in the future, right? It's an actual rocket ship that when you hover over it, meaning when your mouse is over it, it does an animation. I think you see a lot of websites trying to get more animated with their interactive components of the website, and animation is great. But from my perspective and especially in website design, what I've researched so far in the last 2 years, simplistic, minimalistic is really the trend right now. And animations are great, but they can distract the user or the reader, right? If I've got a rocket ship that's flying off into space, that's great, but it's going to distract me from the actual content, which is what matters, right? And that's also like an animation isn't necessarily helping with our SEO from that perspective. And it's not driving the call to action. It's not driving the user, right? I mean, learn more is our call to action here. It's an animation. You might get distracted, might bounce off the page. So add animations, but don't over animate, I guess is my advice. So we've kind of talked about some basics here on how to edit the website. Other things I could have went into is like the formatting, the text color, I want to underline it. That's kind of 101 for editing a blog article or even editing a page for that matter. There's another feature here on the right that would allow us to do blocks if we wanted to duplicate it, right? I had mentioned that was one of our plugins that we downloaded, because now we can just duplicate any page to that kind of concept that I was alluding to earlier, which was Gutenberg, right? Building WordPress websites now can take you a few hours. Once you've built the template for one page, you can just duplicate that out, and that's nice. Editing it as HTML, this is where developers would be like, oh, finally into this view, I recognize something. This is what, people that in the 90s, they went and they did, right? They learned a bunch of code, and they're still learning this code today, but this is what it looks like if we're going to look at the hard code, right? So like, I know basic HTML code, so I can tell you guys, the paragraph strong is bolding this section, or a block quote, within that block of the website, we're styling that paragraph to be aligned to the left, and we're going to link to Global Social Media Marketing, Benjamin.Kepner, within that paragraph, and it's going to link out. And then this is the actual, relative link. We're getting into the size, how it's aligned, and then, the divider. So, I probably didn't explain that great for those developers out there. So I would love if you guys want to explain further or challenge us for a developer thing. But, that's my basic HTML, CSS understanding. And that's all I need to understand with WordPress to a certain extent. Of course, it would be great if I had more development background, and it's something I've tried to do. But at the end of the day, it's its own profession. And that's why even at Global Social Media Marketing, one of our big challenges is that we need a professional developer that can read that code and add what we would say CSS, which is more of that styling side and really getting the functionality out there. But we don't have to have that. We can build a WordPress today for free. And that's what I want to kind of communicate. I'm not saying go build a website for free if you're really serious about your website. But what I'm saying is if you're an entrepreneur and a small business owner, it really shouldn't cost you more than $20 to build a website. You need to buy the domain name, which is like in our case, globalsocialmediamarketing.com. That might cost $13 for the year. And then you need to have a hosting provider. I'm not going to favor anyone's out there, but eventually, hopefully, we'll have an affiliate with one of them. We use Bluehost, and so they're very good. They provide 24/7 hour support. And then you need WordPress, would be number 3, and then you need to create your website. So in a host provider, again, that might be $100 tops. I know HostGator is doing something like $30. I saw recently. So again, you might need $30, maybe $20 somewhere in there if you were really trying to be cheap. And even 100 at that rate is still really cost effective. And then you can build it out. And that's why WordPress was developed with all these plugins and these features. So you don't have to know hard coding. So that's kind of a blog article, 101. And I'm going to leave this on the back end so you can just kind of see how that looks on the front end. We can click on blog. And we can see kind of how ours is, right? So there's a video we've implemented. We've got our titles. This is what the public is seeing. This is an example of the featured image, right? See how ours works, how we hover over it, it's giving us that animational feature. And we kind of have an idea of, maybe what the article is about by just looking at that image. So that's kind of how our blog is set up. So I think right now I've been going for a good little bit. So I'm gonna leave you guys and kind of turn this into a part 2. So that was some basic understanding of dashboard. We talked about plugins. We talked about blogs. We talked about how to add media. We talked about essentially the fact that you can create a website very cheaply by just having a domain name, a host, a WordPress install, and then creating your website. And so in this next video, we'll go into more of themes and pages, ways that you can add users and settings like that, and maybe go a little bit further into SEO. I think would be really beneficial. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please take the time to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please feel free to leave any comments, questions, or concerns. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care, guys. Talk to you soon.